The Marvel Cinematic Universe has gone from an experiment with little-known characters to the biggest movie juggernaut of all time. MCU mastermind Kevin Feige has worked with some of the biggest actors and directors to create a billion-dollar money-making machine. Every aspect of this fine-tuned instrument is scripted and controlled to the smallest degree, without leaving a single aspect to chance. Well, maybe not. With this much creativity available, some improvised scenes may find their way into the final product. These scenes not only give the actors and directors the freedom to explore these iconic characters, but they also give the audience unforgettable moments.
If it looks cool, that's what matters.
Hey folks, and welcome to The Binger. In this video, we'll look at some of the improvised lines that made their way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
One of the most emotionally impactful moments in MCU history didn't have its origins on the page. Instead, the heart-wrenching scene was a collaborative effort between an actor and directors on set. The scene in Avengers Infinity War in which young Peter Parker becomes a victim of the snap tugged at the heartstrings of audiences around the world. Directors Joe and Anthony Russo had extensive experience with allowing actors to improvise during their years working on Arrested Development. The brothers parlayed their experience into crafting one of the most tear-jerking scenes in movie history. During a Q&A session at Chicago's famous Second City Theater Group, co-director Joe Russo explained the process that led to Tom Holland's memorable scene. "I just ran up to him at one point. I literally just said, I want you to stretch this out. I want to make it way more painful for us." And then he played the scene and just started improvising and just started repeating, "I don't want to go, Mr. Stark."
Oh, I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to.
Then I started tearing up. And I was like, we're done. We got this. Although Scott Lang pulled off some remarkable heists in Ant-Man and its sequel, his partner in crime, Louise, stole the show with his stories. Louise has a way with stories. A long, meandering, and hilarious way, that is. Actor Michael Pena played Louise, a former cellmate of Paul Rudd's Lang who later becomes a security consultant. In a 2015 interview with Collider, Pena explained that he was given several pages of dialogue to memorize just 12 hours before shooting.
At this art museum with my cousin Ignacio, right? And there was this abstract expressionism exhibit.
Despite his best efforts, he couldn't nail down each line in a coherent manner. "I kept messing it up," Pena said, and they keep the mess-ups in the movie. Working alongside Rudd and director Peyton Reed gave Pena the freedom to work through his mess-ups and create memorable moments.
I asked Kim, did Emily tell Carlos to tell you to get to me?
"I'd go off on tangents and try to remember lines," I said. "Can we cut? Because I don't know what happened." They were just like, "No, keep going, keep going."
And I was like, damn, homie, you know what? You gotta chin up because you'll find a new partner. But you know what? I'm Luis.
Pro wrestlers must often learn to adapt to the reactions of a live crowd. Some former WWE superstars, including Dwayne Johnson and John Cena, have translated this talent for improvisation into successful film careers. Former WWE champion Dave Bautista has also carried this skill from the ring to the screen. In an iconic scene from Avengers Infinity War, the Guardians of the Galaxy are searching for their lost teammate Gamora. The Guardians run afoul of Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange. When team leader Star-Lord asks Iron Man, "Where is Gamora?" the armored Avenger responds,
"I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?"
Bautista, as Drax, responds with an even better question,
"I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?"
Drax's response wasn't in the script, but Bautista brought it to the scene to break the tension. Director Taika Waititi is well known for allowing a lot of improvisation in his films. This approach worked well for him in his breakout film What We Do in the Shadows. He would go on to apply it on a bigger scale to the big-budget blockbuster Thor Ragnarok. In an interview with MTV News, Waititi said, "We improvised probably 80% of the film, or ad-libbed and threw in stuff. This loose directional style also helped to set Ragnarok apart from his predecessors in the Thor saga. Ragnarok is a standalone film, Waititi said at San Diego Comic-Con 2017. I loved Thor 1 and Thor 2, but if I wanted to make this film my own, I couldn't try to make a follow-up movie. I wanted to do my own thing. One of the most memorable off-script lines didn't come from Waititi or star Chris Hemsworth. Instead, it came from a youngster visiting the set as a gift from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Hemsworth told Entertainment Weekly, "We had a young kid, a Make-A-Wish kid on the set that day. He goes, you know, you should say,
He's a friend from work.
awkward hugs can be the worst. They can even be worse when they're unintended. Sometimes a friendly gesture can be misinterpreted as something more. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, the web-slinger made his solo film debut in the larger MCU. Of course, a young scientific genius like Peter Parker would look up to the founding father of the MCU, Tony Stark. In much the same way, a young talented actor like Tom Holland would look up to an established actor like Robert Downey Jr. Holland took advantage of the setting to add to the scene and define the dynamic between the two heroes. As Tony reaches across Peter's body to open the door,
It's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not there yet.
that was actually an improvised moment, Holland said in an interview. A lot of that scene was improvised. I just thought it would be funny if I tried to hug him, and Robert's instincts are so good. When we did it, you could hear all the producers laugh. And if you haven't already, subscribe to The Binger. And don't forget to turn on notifications because we all know how YouTube can be sometimes. And if you're on mobile, you can turn on notifications through YouTube settings. Enjoy the rest of the video. Master Thief, legendary outlaw, leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord.
It isn't Star Prince.
Star-Lord.
Who? That was the reaction of most movie audiences before director James Gunn's space opera hit theaters in 2014. With characters that included a talking raccoon with a love of high-powered weapons and a walking tree that says the same 3 words, the film's success was far from guaranteed. Even the casting of Parks and Recreation star Chris Pratt as Star-Lord caused some to question if a movie about a group of Z-list space heroes was such a good idea. How could dad bod Andy Dwyer convincingly play a buff bod superhero? Pratt showed that not only could he fill Peter Quill's boots, but he could also cut a rug in them as he danced to hits of the 1970s. Pratt and Gunn decided to take advantage of the character's mainstream obscurity by showing that even his captors had never heard of him.
Who?
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
From this opening scene, the combination of humor, action, and a killer soundtrack made Guardians and its sequels the most successful non-Avengers MCU movies to date. The follow-up to the Avengers film brought in several new characters that were fan favorites for comic book lovers. Ultron, an evil artificial intelligence bent on wiping out humanity, and his 2 lieutenants, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. Pietro, also known as Quicksilver, had super speed, while Wanda, codenamed Scarlet Witch, could distort reality. The trio, along with Ultron's robot army, gave the Avengers all they could handle in Age of Ultron. Even when Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch turn on Ultron and join the Avengers, things don't always go smoothly. At one point in the battle, the younger and faster Quicksilver needles the more experienced Hawkeye, telling him,
Keep up, old man.
As Quicksilver sprints away, Hawkeye draws his bow and targets the silver-haired speedster.
Nobody would know.
The line wasn't in the script, but director Joss Whedon kept Jeremy Renner's ad-lib in the final cut of the film. Renner and Whedon agreed that the line was completely in character. It let Hawkeye vent his frustration about being one of the few non-powered heroes on the scene. Black Panther was the first MCU film to receive an Academy Awards nomination for Best Picture. One of the main reasons for that nomination was the performance of Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger, the villain who would take over Wakanda. When Killmonger learns that he is part of the Wakandan royal family, he challenges his cousin, the newly installed King T'Challa, for the throne. As he confronts Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa about their family secrets, Queen Ramonda, played by Oscar nominee Angela Bassett, cuts him off. Killmonger responds with a snarky,
"Hey, Auntie."
According to Bassett, Jordan may have improvised the line. "He entered the throne room with such disrespect, right?" Bassett said in an interview. "We're sort of put off, then he utters that, which I think was an improvised line on his part. Director Ryan Coogler liked it so much that he kept it in the final cut. At the premiere, when he utters that, the whole room just went up and enjoyed it so. I among them," Bassett said. "It was beautiful." Okay, raise your hand if you've heard of Beyoncé. The singer has sold millions of albums, has sold untold numbers of concerts, and has legions of fans around the world. Her music crosses borders, nationalities, and evidently even universes, as she also has fans nearly everywhere in the MCU. Everywhere, that is, except for an isolated Tibetan monastery dedicated to the study of the mystic arts. Even Dr. Stephen Strange, a former surgeon turned student of magic, is a big fan. When Strange seeks out books on astral projection from his mentor Wong, the elder monk refuses.
You're not ready for that.
Strange responds with,
Try me, Beyoncé.
When Wong fails to react to the name, Strange reacts with disbelief. The exchange was reportedly not part of the original script and was improvised between actors Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong. Director Scott Derrickson liked the exchange so much he added a scene in which Wong listened to single ladies as research. In 2008, Iron Man launched what would become the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film's final line, aside from the post-credit stinger, also jettisoned what had been a fixture in superhero stories for decades: the secret identity. In the original script, Tony Stark was supposed to deliver a cover story that Iron Man was his bodyguard. The bodyguard story had been a part of the character's comic book origin. However, Robert Downey Jr. went off script and changed both movies and comics forever with one simple line,
"I am Iron Man."
Producer Kevin Feige credited Downey's ad-lib as consistent with his interpretation of Tony Stark. Feige told Deadline in 2018, Tony Stark not reading off the card and not sticking with the fixed story, him just blurting out, "I am Iron Man?" That seems very much in keeping with who that character is. The line became so iconic that it was used again at the climax of Avengers Endgame, when Tony Stark sacrificed himself to save the universe. It was only fitting that the line that launched the MCU would bring it full circle.
Iron Man.
So what do you think? Are there any other improv moments that belong in this list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your MCU fan friends, and subscribe to The Binger to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching.